In Jamaica, Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips says 30,000 jobs will come from the business process outsourcing BPO sector by 2020. The BPO industry is among the key pillars of growth for the Portia Simpson Miller administration. More in this report from Peter Gay Coombs.
For Dr. Phillips, the business process outsourcing sector, BPO, is poised for immense economic activity. The finance minister says the sector has revived productivity and has provided much-needed jobs, especially for youths. The sector currently employs 17,000 persons, but Dr. Phillips predicts the BPO industry will create 30,000 jobs by 2020. He says 6,500 new positions will be made available in the next fiscal year. Speaking Thursday in Parliament as he opened the 2015-2016 budget debate, Dr. Phillips notes that a 5-year plan has been crafted for the sector.
Quite frankly, we believe that is a conservative estimate. And quite frankly, the sky is the limit where Jamaica is concerned in relation with this BPO industry. A strategic objective is to move Jamaica up the value chain in the BPO industry, from simple call centers to knowledge processing centers, and outsourcing more professional services, legal and accounting services. We want to see our big law firms getting involved in the BPO segment, offering legal services and accounting services.
The finance minister maintains that Jamaica's geographical position makes it favorable to investors. He says Mandeville and tourism capital Montego Bay continues to lure in the box. The finance minister says investors have acquired 50,000 square feet of land in Barnett's estate, Montego Bay, with similar plans in place for Mandeville.
Plans are being finalized and negotiated for another 150,000 square feet. The text here have 100,000, but I spoke with the investors yesterday who said they have just contracted for an additional 50,000 on top of this. In Mandeville, a 70,000 square foot facility has been completed and they are now recruiting for jobs. All told, Mandeville is going to become a major center because it has one of the highest number of educational institutions going from basic school to university.
Meanwhile, Dr. Phillips also addressed the concerns of stakeholders in the industry who are opposed to the sector being heavily taxed. A tax regime is expected to be applied to the BPO sector when the existing free zone regime ends. Dr. Phillips says he has put those concerns to the incentive working group chaired by Mr. Joseph Matalon, as well as the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Investment.
In order to ensure that we secure an internationally competitive fiscal regime in that sector. And I want to say to the entire investor community, we are not going to let the opportunities in this sector pass us this time around.
Also on the growth agenda are plans to develop more agri-parks to reduce the country's dependence on imports. Dr. Phillips asserts that the parks will be outfitted with proper irrigation systems. 2 will come on board in 2015. Now, as it relates to the hotel sector, Dr. Phillips states that plans for integrated resort development to license casino gambling are well advanced, with more details to be provided at a later date. Peter Gay Coombs for CEEN Caribbean News.
The Jamaican opposition has responded to the government's 2015-2016 tax measures with much dismay. Shadow spokesman on finance Audley Shaw says the tax package announced by Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips is far from modest. On Thursday, Dr. Phillips announced a raft of revenue measures to plug the $10.6 billion gap in the budget. Now, among the measures, a reintroduction of the GCT on electricity for residential customers who use above 350 kilowatt per hour. The tax measure becomes effective April 1, 2015 and will rake in approximately $807 million. For Mr. Shaw, the proposal is outrageous.
Well, the people of Jamaica will remember how the PNP was gung-ho and that the electricity, GCT on electricity must be removed and abolished for all households. And now they've come back with a vengeance to slap another tax on GCT on electricity. I think it is outrageous.
And Mr. Shaw is also against the $7 per litre tax on petrol. Dr. Phillips says the move is to hedge an increase in the price of petroleum on the world market.
But the concern that I have is that here we are just trying to get a little break in the price and a little break on the electricity cost. And the minister sees it fit to now slap another tax on it to deprive the people of the benefit of the falling price of oil on the world market. It's quite outrageous, in my view. And we are told that this is in part to hedge against future price increases. The minister has not provided any details to us on precisely how that hedge will help us and what are the terms and conditions of that hedge.
Mr. Shaw believes the minister could have explored other measures.
Instead of looking at a more complete way at tax reform and looking even at the new tax laws that he has put on board, the Omnibus Incentive Act and so on, and finding other ways to smooth out the tax reform process and the taxation system. All he's doing is just jumping for the low-hanging fruit, and immediately a low-hanging fruit is the falling price of oil has led to a little bit cheaper fuel at the pump, 30% cheaper electricity, in his words, and therefore those are ripe for the picking. Those are fruit that you don't have to climb the tree for, according to him, except he's depriving the people of Jamaica, the productive sector, and poor people that they claim to love so much. They are all being deprived of the benefits of falling prices on the world market because of the selfishness and greed of this government.